What's up guys, it's James here, and in today's video, I'm gonna show you how I was able to launch my Airbnb, my most recent Airbnb listing, and generate $35,366 in bookings within 48 hours. Now, our conservative projections, if you've watched any of our other videos, this is the property that I just bought in Cottage Country, where our most conservative projections that we were basing all of our analysis on were based off the property doing $50,000 over the course of the entire year in gross revenue. In the first 48 hours of launching the listing, it generated over $35,000 worth of bookings, and every one of those bookings was booked for the next 3 months here. So we've still got another 9 months to make up the other $20,000 roughly, but $15,000 actually in bookings to hit our target for the year. Now, spoiler alert, we've already well surpassed that goal. So the property is performing well better than we ever expected. And I'm gonna talk to you specifically in this video about how I was able to generate over $35,000 in the first 48 hours of the listing being live through a powerful launch. I'm gonna talk to you more about that. So if you're interested, then stick around till the end of the video. We're gonna be walking through every single step of the process. Now, if anyone here is interested in investing in properties for the purpose of short-term rental, you want to buy an Airbnb property and actually own that Airbnb and manage it and get a fantastic return on your investment, then I highly recommend clicking the link down below to schedule a quick call with me. I'd love to get in touch. I'm going to be working with a really small group of people over the next 6 months here, showing them how to profitably invest in short-term rental properties. So if that's something you're interested in, then just click the link down below to schedule a quick 15-minute call with me completely free, and I would love to talk more with you about it. Also, if you are interested in managing other people's properties and generating these kind of results for other people so that you can make a full-time income managing other people's properties on Airbnb without having to buy, rent, furnish, anything like that, then I highly recommend checking out the other link down below in the description for the free training where we talk about exactly how to earn a full-time income managing other people's properties on Airbnb. So without further ado, let's jump into it and talk about the 4 important steps to be able to launch powerfully on Airbnb and have a really massive influx of bookings. Now, the first and foremost, most important thing when you launch, number 1 is photos, having incredible photos. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see hosts and even property management companies making all the time is that they launch too quickly with a listing that is not optimized. Now, the thought process behind that is usually something to the tune of, well, if I launch more quickly, then the calendar is open sooner, so I've got more room to get bookings. So a lot of people think, let me just snap some photos with my iPhone, get a quick minimum viable listing up there and ready to launch, and then later on in a couple days, in a week, in 2 weeks, I can update the listing and improve it, add the right photos that are professionally done, improve the listing headline, all that stuff. But why don't I get something up and running? Because the weekend's fast approaching and I'd love to get it booked sooner rather than later. Now that has got to be the most detrimental line of thinking of any Airbnb host or manager. It costs so much money to think that way, and here's why. Airbnb's algorithm works in a way that favors your listing when you first launch it. They obviously want new listings to succeed on the platform, so they give you an initial huge boost of traffic. You know, I saw that in my listing's first 48 hours, we got thousands of views to that listing. That's not normal. Since then, we're getting maybe 100 or 200 views a day. So it takes this huge step up and then it declines over time. It gets back to a more normal pace. That's because when you're first launching, Airbnb wants to figure out, number 1, how good your listing is, and number 2, they also want to give you an advantage, a bit of a leg up to get started, because naturally you don't have any reviews, you haven't had guests stay with you, so you have a little bit of a disadvantage out of the gate that they're trying to make up for. So you're going to get an initial boost of traffic. Now, how does Airbnb determine long-term where you're going to end up in the search results, where that listing is going to show up, whether it'll be at the top of page 1 or the bottom of page 10? Well, it's based mostly off of how well your listing converts that initial traffic that Airbnb gives you. The more traffic that you convert into bookings, the better your listing is going to perform long term. Airbnb naturally wants to promote the highest converting listings because those are the ones that make Airbnb as a platform more money. So if you launch a subpar listing with some kind of crappy iPhone photos and not a really great listing altogether, then what's going to happen is you're going to get a huge boost of traffic to an under-optimized listing. That under-optimized listing is not going to perform well. It's not going to convert that traffic well. And so naturally, you're going to end up later on, a week or two later, on page 2, page 3, page 5 of the search results. And so long term, you're going to miss out on thousands and thousands of dollars in future bookings. This is the definition of stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Yes, you might get an extra booking in one couple days sooner and you might pick up a couple $100 there. But what you're going to miss out on is thousands of dollars in future bookings, as your listing is not going to perform well in the search ranking. And that creates a snowball effect where now you have less reviews. And because you have less reviews, you get less bookings. And because you get less bookings, you go further down the search results. And because you're further down the search results, you get less bookings. And then you get less reviews since you got less bookings. And then because of that, and blah, 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 blah. Right? So that is going to carry on time and time again. It's going to keep on going that way. So you're going to lose realistically probably tens of thousands of dollars by going that route. That's why number one is the photos. You want to make sure that first and foremost, the photos being the main portion of your listing are professionally done and done exceptionally, exceptionally well. Now, number two is timing. I don't recommend waiting until the high season to launch your listing, because the reality is that there's never really a terrible time to launch. There just are some slightly better times to launch than others, and some tips that you want to take advantage of if you are listing in more of a down season. Now, the advantage of listing in the midst of high season like we did is that obviously when you get that initial traffic, there's tons of people right now booking places. So it's just naturally easier to convert that traffic. So for all the reasons I just stated in that point number one about the photos, it just helps you to get conversions on that traffic, which then is going to create a lot of benefit for you long term. Now, that being said, if you are listing in a down season, my number one most important tip is make sure you open your calendar up so that people can book for the high season. Because the reality is we launched the listing here in end of May. Right? And so in end of May, we're just coming into the high season. June, July, August, September, those are the best months in the year for this particular listing. So by listing right then, it was naturally just going to get filled out for those months. Now, if I had listed the listing back in January in the midst of the dead season, then naturally I wouldn't get a lot of bookings if I had only opened up January and February in my calendar, just because not a lot of people are really booking for those dates. But if I had listed my property in January, what I would have done is I would have opened up the calendar well in advance. Now, I recommend doing this in general anyway, but it's especially important if you are listing in the down season. You want to make sure that that calendar is opened up well in advance so that people who are looking to book for June, July, August, September can go ahead and do so, and you're still going to get that nice high conversion rate on the traffic that's being sent your way. So that's point number two, that's timing. Now, point number three is promotion. This is a little bit of a bonus. Honestly, if you're managing a whole portfolio of properties, it can be a lot to promote a listing when it's launching, but I do recommend doing this for higher performing listings. This listing, for example, we're hoping to do over $100,000 in this year with this listing now. You know, obviously we're projecting closer to 50 as a bare minimum worst case scenario, but now it's actually trending closer to 120. So we want to make sure this listing does really well. It's worth putting some additional energy into the promotion, the launch of this listing. So one of the things we did in advance is we grew an Instagram account. Really simple. Just posted pictures of the area, different things to do, and just built a little bit of a following. Nothing too crazy. Another thing I did is that I listed the property on Facebook Marketplace and had people inquire. And when they inquire, I would send them the link to Airbnb. Now, over the first couple of days, we got probably 100, 200, 300 different inquiries on this property. So that's more traffic that we're sending to the listing, which just tells Airbnb's algorithm that your listing is in demand and is desirable because more people are visiting that listing. So that's a nice big boost. And then obviously we got some additional bookings from that as well. So that helps the conversion rate as well. Those are two little kind of bonus things that you can do to just help promote your listing more when it's first launching. Because again, that launch isn't just going to net you money right now, it's also going to make a long-term impact on your business, because it means that more conversions will land you higher in the search results. Higher in the search results means more bookings. More bookings means more reviews. More reviews means more bookings, which lands you higher in the search results, and the cycle continues. So it's really, really important during this initial launch stage that you do everything you can to make sure that launch goes exceptionally well. Now, the fourth and final tip to make sure that you have an incredible launch is pricing. Pricing is one of the most important things overall to ensuring that your listing performs exceptionally well and you get a great return on it. But the pricing model when you're first launching is actually a little bit counterintuitive. A lot of people think, oh, well, I just want to make sure that my pricing is optimized and then I have prices set as high as I need to, as high as I can for whatever season I'm launching in. Now, in reality, the best thing you can do is actually to slightly underprice your listing when you're first launching. The reason for that is quite simple. Now, the one pretty obvious one is that your listing is in the worst state it's ever going to be in, given that it doesn't have any reviews, it doesn't have a track record, and it's going to be more challenging to get bookings because you're likely going to be listing it as available the next day. So you don't have a lot of lead time on that next month. The nice thing about launching your listing and having, high season be 3-4 months away is that you've got a lot of lead time to fill up those nights. So because you're at a slight disadvantage, given that you don't have reviews and that you don't have a lot of lead time to get bookings for that next month there, you're gonna wanna lower your prices. But that's not the main reason you want to lower your prices. Honestly, that's just a small piece of it. The bigger, more important reason why it's so important to actually underprice your listing is because, again, you want to improve your conversion rate. Again, let's think about this in terms of, not wanting to step over dollars to pick up pennies. Yes, if you add that extra $20, $30, $50 a night to have your price be set at the optimal level, then you are potentially going to earn another $30, $50 a night. However, if doing so hurts your conversion rate, then ultimately that's going to lead to that poor cycle that I just described earlier and I've kind of walked through as a theme throughout this entire video. You don't want to get into that cycle. You'd rather sacrifice that $30 to $50 a night for those initial bookings. Step over that. Just leave that money behind and realize that that's going to improve your conversion rate because more people are going to book because your property is well priced. It's really competitively priced. And so naturally that's going to higher your conversion rate, meaning you'll end up higher in the search results, so on and so forth. You get the picture at this point. So those are my 4 tips for launching your listing effectively and being able to generate a massive influx like we did on your first couple hours of launching your listing live. Number 1, make sure the photos and the listing are impeccable. Number 2, be aware of your timing and make sure that you adjust accordingly depending on what time of year you're launching your listing. Number 3, make sure you do a little bit of promotion if at all possible to get some more traffic and just realize just how important this launch period is to the long-term success of your listing. And number 4 is to price your listing accordingly and make sure that you sacrifice a little bit on the price initially so that you can have your listing succeed as much as possible long term. So I hope this video has been really helpful to you guys. Again, if you're interested in investing in properties for Airbnb, you want to learn more about that, how to actually buy properties for Airbnb and make an incredible return on your investment. This most recent one, we're over 300% ROI on year 1. Then just click the link down below to schedule a quick 15-minute chat with me, and I'd love to talk with you more about it. Also, if you're interested in earning a full-time income managing other people's properties on Airbnb, we've got a link in the description for you to check out the completely free training on exactly how to do that. So I would highly recommend checking out that as well. And as always, if you did like this video, if you got value from it, I would absolutely love it if you could give this video a quick thumbs up. It makes a big difference for me and this channel. It helps out tremendously with growing the channel and just help us out overall. So I'd really, really appreciate it if you could take a quick second and just hit that like button. And also, the final thing is make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you want to stay up to date with all our videos. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed so you can stay up to date. We post 2 new videos every single week. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.